Hello everyone, a very good afternoon to all of you. Welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep. Welcome to your last lap to NMAT. I'm very happy to be taking this first of the 15 sessions of the last lap to NMAT that we have prepared for you. Today I'm going to be taking a session on grammar. My name is Savitri Krishnamurty, and if you have seen my classes before, I love grammar. By the end of this session, I hope you will too, and you will feel that, okay, I've done well in grammar. Okay, it's a good omen that the first student who greets me is called Rahul Dravid. Rahul, hello. Good afternoon, Rahul. Good afternoon, Disha. Well, where are the others? Let's quickly start. How many of you have taken NMAT before or have an idea of the NMAT exam pattern? When you're taking an exam, of course, you know what the pattern is like, but we'll quickly have a recap. Good afternoon, Kamalkant. Sanket, Varsha, okay, good. First time for NMAT, you have 36 questions in language skills. You get 28 minutes for all the questions together, and the level of difficulty of these questions is moderate. NMAT has been a moderate level exam generally for most of the verbal ability part. All right, but what are the different topics you are supposed to look at? Remember, NMAT is taken over a lot of slots over a lot of days, right? Therefore, there are variations in the test. Like one exam in one slot, you may have more questions on grammar, you may have more questions on vocabulary, but overall, in a particular slot that I and my colleague took, this was the breakup, which is why we've given it. The other slot, some students said there was not this, there was not that, but those variations are anyway there. All right. So reading comprehension, around 12 questions, parajumbles 4 questions, analogies 5 questions, fill in the blanks, vocabulary 2 blanks, 5 questions. Let me just change my pen color to blue. I don't like using red. Okay. All right. Fill in the blanks, prepositions. So you have different kinds of fill in the blanks. All right. And spotting the error 6. Do we get philosophy passages? You get any kind of passages. But generally moderate level means even if it's philosophy, philosophy is discussion of any form of ideas, by the way. Therefore, you can. How did government come about can become a political theory question, can be a philosophy. I can change it into a philosophical article also. All right. So, nahi aata hai, you can't say. Tense does not come, you cannot say. All right. A question setter is told you make 15 or 20 questions on grammar. If he says that, then at least 28% of the question paper is based on grammar. Now, when you have 25 to 28% of the section, that is almost 1/4 of the section, more than 1/4 of the verbal ability section on grammar, it is up to the examiner to give you whatever he feels like, right? But generally the important topics, and when we are talking of important topics, remember there are others also that may be there. Generally, we've seen a repeat of parts of speech, prepositions, modifiers, subject-verb agreement, and parallelism questions. That does not mean there will be no question on tenses. I have included questions on tenses, and we will quickly look at the major concepts to be covered in tenses. All right. So, are you ready to start? Before we start, guys, make sure you don't miss any of the sessions. We have prepared 15 wonderful sessions for the last lap to NMAT. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, and press the bell icon. Make sure you like the video, share it with your friends, so that it takes a moment for you, but that feedback is very important for us. All right. Okay, let's start with fill in the blanks. Grammar based fill in the blanks, and then we move on to vocabulary based fill in the blanks. Today we're going to be looking at, obviously, grammar based fill in the blanks. Read the entire sentence first. Okay. In these questions, a sentence or a paragraph is given with 1 or 2, maybe even more blanks, but generally 1 or 2 blanks. You're supposed to fill in the blanks with the grammatically correct option. they would give you 4 or 5 options. Now, in some questions here, the first 5 questions, I wanted the concepts to be clear, so I have given you only 4 questions. But from the 5th question onwards, we have used 5 options, exactly the way NMAT, the questions are based, the NMAT question pattern. Remember, NMAT doesn't have any minus marking. If minus marking is there, that 5th option has a lot of value and weight. What is the problem when you're spending that extra time to read that option through, but you are taking a risk in marking the wrong option if it's 5 options. When there is no minus marking, you do not have to worry about it. Kirti, when will the exam be? NMAT takes place over a matter of so many weeks. So the slots have been open for registration. You can choose a slot that is convenient to you, a date that is convenient to you, and apply. All right? Please look at the NMAT website. Go there. When you register for the test, they will ask you, you will see a calendar where you can book a date and a time which is convenient to you over many weeks. All right, from 1st October, for 10th October to 19th December. There you have the dates. All right. So you should read the complete sentence or paragraph before filling in the blanks. Let's start with some easy questions. They're based on short answers, but they do test a little bit of grammar, not too much. All right, and as you answer these questions, I will tell you the concept behind it. That way it is easier. Previous query, do we get philosophy passages? Varsha, I already answered that question. I said you can get passages from any subject, right? You can get passages from any subject, philosophy too, but generally NMAT would ask easier passages. So philosophy is not that often asked. All right. Okay, I'm getting answers. Kajal, Kirti, waiting for your answers. I'm getting mixed answers, C and D here. What are the correct answers? The harder you work. Now, there are 2 concepts here. One is use of adjectives. Second, the rule of parallelism. Adjectives, whenever you use a comparative on one side of the clause, you have to use a similar comparative on the other side of the sentence. The same thing is what parallelism says. It says you should always balance your sentence. So the harder you work, the better you get at such studies. Indeed, it is C. All right? Okay. Goats subsist, dash, grass and leaves. Warm up, loosener, so don't worry about it. Hey, this is too easy. Why do we need to attend this session? Don't say that. Goats subsist, dash, grass and leaves. Quick, please mark the question number. All right, level of RCs is moderate. Sanket, level of RCs is moderate, and the fact that there are 5 options for each question makes it a little time taking. So you have to choose and read and answer. But because there is no minus marking, it makes life easier. Right? You quickly read, look at the words. We will do RC. Next session is RC simplified. All right, please mark option A, B, C and give me the question. Give me the question number also. They live or subsist on grass. Therefore, A is the answer. He walks and runs and he does these dash basis. How do you complete it? On daily, daily, on a daily, based on every day. Options A, B, C, D. Quick, question 3. What's the answer? He walks and runs and does this. Now, the rule behind it is simple. Okay? Whenever you talk of something using an adjective, for example, meals. Okay, you don't use articles. You say, I had lunch, I had dinner, breakfast is in the morning. But when you describe what kind of a lunch did you have? I had a heavy lunch, I have a light dinner. Same way, the moment you say daily, you are using an adjective, so you generally use an article before it. The common wrong answer would be daily basis. We don't use on when we speak, so you may not use it when you write. Okay? So it is on a daily basis, C. Excellent. All right. Prepositions of time, place. Let's see, and I'll quickly do the other prepositions with you once we finish this. I have an appointment, dash the dentist, dash Wednesday. This is where I'll quickly start off with the concepts. Give me the question number and the answer. Right? These are the four. Answer is C. I have an appointment with the dentist on Wednesday. C it is. What are the other prepositions of time that you have? At, on, in, for, since, from, by. Is there anything else? Okay. When you talk of exact points of time, I have an appointment with the dentist at 10 o'clock. So for a particular point of time, you use at. When it is days and dates, you use on. Now, if you are mentioning months, years, or parts of the day, then you would use in. In January, in February, in 1975, in 1945, 47, whatever. All right? For is used to mention the duration of time. This class is, I'm going to teach this class for an hour. For will tell you how much time. Or rather, when you use for, you have to use how much time, the duration. But if I use since, you have to use only the starting point of the action. So I have been talking since 3 p.m. Okay? Or you've moved to a place. How long have you been living here? I have been living here since January. All right? Get the difference between for and since. From you use for an action when you describe it from the starting point to the ending point. So this class is from 3 o'clock to until 4 o'clock. By is generally used as a deadline. On or before, not later than. Clear? All right. Let's move on to the next question. He is considered dash the best batsman in the world, as with for or no word required. Sachin Tendulkar, Virat Kohli, name anyone that you know. Lots of answers for A. Let's see someone. Give me the numbers. Anjali, Kirti, Nikita. Let me see the answer, the question numbers. Good, Nikita gave the number. I'm not saying you are correct. Yeah, maybe you are. All right. Give me the Kajal number as in A, B, C, D. All right. Okay. We should not use this. This is the most common wrong answer. He is considered the best. This is called this. Normally we say considered as, called as. That is wrong. Okay. Just considered so and so. No word required. Okay. As is the most common wrong answer. That is not correct. All right. Okay. Next one. I won't meet you dash the morning. Let's meet dash the afternoon. I will wait dash the bus stop. Considered, no, considered one of the best batsmen in the world. All right, question 6. I will meet you parts of the day. What did I tell you? What will you use for the parts of a day? In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. So first one will be in, second one will be in. Now, prepositions of place, the most confusing prepositions, because there are no set rules. For every rule, there's an exception. The general rule is for a point, like bus stop, airport, railway station, you use at. The plane arrives at Delhi or Bangalore at 3 o'clock. All right? When it is a larger area, you say in. But here, sometimes there are exceptions. So we'll say For example, there is a coffee shop, my most common example, if you've seen my videos before also. There's a coffee shop dash the corner of the street. What do I want? At or in? Quickly. There's a coffee shop dash the corner of the street. At or in? What do I want? Quick guys, answer. Enjoying the session so far? Yes. At the corner of the street, because the corner is considered a point. All right, fine. Most people place their television sets dash the corner of their living room, drawing room that we call. What is that? What should I say? Most people place their television sets dash the corner of their. Now here you say in. Why? If it's a corner of the room or a corner of the street, it doesn't suddenly change from a point to an area. But that is the fun, that is the problem with English. No, street may be wider, Varsha, but we say at the corner of the street, so you should actually be saying at. That's the way it is. So I tell students for prepositions, I can tell you what is the correct preposition. I can't tell you why. Okay, I'll give you another example. Varsha is not convinced. Varsha, I'll give you one more example. Why is it that X always sits dash the front of the class and Y always sits dash the back? Why is it? There are two students, X and Y. Why is it that X sits dash the front of the class and Y sits dash the back? Under one roof is correct. Yeah, we can give any explanation. Corner is not specific, but we are saying at the corner of the street, right? So, all right. So, in the front, but at the back. Why? I can't tell you. One of you research on linguistics and tell me. All right. So, I can't meet you in the morning. Let's meet in the afternoon and I'll wait for you at the bus stop. General rule is if it's a point and a specific point, use at. Okay? Yes, we generally use as in case of comparisons, Preksha, or analogies as light as wind or whatever. Okay, you also use as with such when you give examples. All right. Okay, again we were looking at some more prepositions because prepositions have been asked very often. All right. At night, but in the middle of the night. Vikas wanted to know why do we use at for the night. I told you I can tell you what do we use, I can't tell you why. In the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, but at night. But if you say some thieves broke in the middle of the night, 2 ins doesn't sound good. Okay, there was a burglary dash the middle of the night, in the middle of the night. Okay. All right, question 7. It's exactly 9 o'clock now, but it's 8:50 dash her watch. No wonder she's always ahead of others. So when you read these sentences, keep a pen and paper with you and start writing from the options the correct preposition so that by the time you finish reading all the sentences, you have the order and you mark the answer. All right? Okay. I'm getting 2 answers for 7. Give all the answers. Kajal, Anjali, all of you, all the answers, all 3 sentences together. What is the combination of prepositions that we need, like A, B, C, D, E, F, like that. All right? And then give me the answer. It's exactly 9 o'clock now, but it's 8:50 by her watch, not in her watch. All right, we normally should say, what's the time by your watch? The police who surrounded the MLA's bungalow said they were acting on a tip-off. The new CEO of the IT giant does not allow for means doesn't excuse any delay. So by, on and for, by is C, on is A, for is F, CAF is D. So your correct answer is D. Right? Okay, good. Excellent. I'm very happy so many of you got that right because we normally get in your watch, in your clock as the answer. All right, question 8. Same thing. As you fill in the blanks, please look at the options and mark A, B, C, whatever you're marking. All right? Okay, let's look at it. Those guests who had lost their way eventually arrive late at night, not dash the planned time of the wedding. The chef cooked fish for the special party, although he knew that seafood doesn't agree dash our grandmother's stomach. Our neighbors decided to auction dash their ancestral furniture. What is the answer for question 8? Give me the answer. Anjali, 8, A, B, C, E. That's the way I want to see the answer, okay? See, in certain exams, like IELTS, for example, if they tell you answer in numbers, you should only give the answer in numbers. Even if you give the answer in letters and it's wrong, it's considered, and it's correct, it's considered wrong. So, just follow the directions. Let me see the answers. I'm seeing all different answers for 8. E, B, all right. D, bus A and C are left. Okay. The guests who lost their way eventually arrived late at night, not by the planned time of the wedding. By, on or before. Okay. The chef cooked fish doesn't agree with when you can't tolerate something or your system doesn't agree with something, we say. Our neighbors decided to auction off. So buy, with, and off. B, F, E, that is option B. Alright? Clear? All of you? Any doubts so far? No? Okay, good. Next one. Surprisingly, my boss called me to ask dash my health as he came to know that I wasn't well. When somebody wants to know how are you and drops in, what is that called? Why not for in the last? Auction for nahi hoga Varsha. When you are selling off something in an auction, the expression is auctioned off. That's the expression. Okay. Put it up for auction means auctioned off. Clear? That's the way the language works. Okay. Put up for auction. That means put up for a bid becomes auctioned off. Alright, the army has already made 2 requests to the protesters to back dash. Most automobile accident videos bear dash vehicle drivers' stupidity. What's the answer I want? Question 9. Give me the question number when you give me the answers, okay? Alright, I'm seeing answers for C. Lots of C's. I have not seen any other answer. Okay, everyone seems to agree with C. What if I tell you I do not think, or I think it may not be the right answer? What's your next best choice? I know where you're facing the problem. When somebody inquires, how are you, and calls up, then it is to ask after you or to ask after your health. Got it? That's the expression you need. Alright? Then my army has told the protesters to back off. And bear out means give evidence. This bears out, it proves. Bears out means proves. So the answer we want is after, where did it go? B, back off D, and out is E. B, D, E. So the correct answer is D. Alright, Rupesh got that right. Rupesh Jain. Alright. Now you understood? When you are not well, it's asking after you. Alright, so these are phrasal verbs where, with call, you have a lot of interesting ones. Call in, call over, come in, so many things are there. So we will do this. They're not just preposition questions, they're also testing us. That's called an idiomatic expression. Alright, Rahul. Phrasal verbs are used idiomatically. So there is a literal meaning and there is an idiomatic meaning. For example, carried away. Okay, let's say you take something, he carried away the child and took him out of the room. Okay, that's a literal meaning. But don't get carried away by emotion. That means don't get overcome by emotion. Same way, when somebody calls up to find out how you are doing, the expression is calling after. asking after somebody. All right. Ask about is not the correct answer. You know what? Asking about. He was asking about means finding out more about you. If he was asking around or asking about means us finding out more about you, making inquiries about you. Okay. There's so many others. Like for example, with call there are so many. Right? So there are idiomatic expressions, phrasal verbs. We will do it in a vocabulary class. Okay. All right. So one of the ways in which they ask you grammar questions is fill in the blanks. The other one, a little more difficult, would be spotting the error. Now the spotting the error questions can be in different ways. They can give you a sentence, underline a part. They can give you one sentence and break it up into different parts. But this is the normal pattern that is asked in NMAT, where an underlined part is phrased in different ways. You choose the right one. Okay, but remember, whether it is the entire sentence that is rephrased or a part that is rephrased, read the entire sentence so that you get the tone, you get the feel of the sentence before you decide what is the right option. The first thing is identify what is the intended, what is the speaker's intention, what does he mean when he says this sentence. Once you get that meaning right, then you apply rules of grammar to see if it's right or wrong. All right, so read the sentence completely as one thought unit, don't read it in parts, then you will see. And the common areas of errors would be prepositions or verbs because of the tense form. Prepositions and verbs, these are the two main areas. Sometimes an article can be called, like an article should be there and they don't use it. Sometimes an article is used when it shouldn't be used, or the wrong article is used. But the two things that you need to remember is more often asked is prepositions and tenses. As a separate lesson, Varsha, I will try. Okay, I will try. This is where we have given you a sentence broken up into 5 different parts. Okay, and the rebellious one, we've given this answer that there is a window from October 10th to December 19th. Choose your day and slot and apply. The registrations are already open. Go and book for the exam without any ado. You can also take a lot of retests, so give yourself ample time and space for all that. All right, less than 100 people attended the function when 1,000 were expected. Which part of the sentence has an error? If there is no error, mark E. Question 10. I'll just have a swig of water while I wait for your answers. Thousand people were expected. Less than 1,000 came. Now, is my sentence correct? Okay. Now, have you heard of something called determiner? Okay, let's not get into the theory part of it. Whenever you are talking of things or people, right? There are two nouns generally, persons, places, things, objects, whatever you're talking about. There are two ways you think of them, right? Some of them you can express as numbers, like students. All right, likes. Why are there such few likes? Okay, so these I am expressing as numbers. Correct? Students, books, biscuits. All right. Now, when I talk of things like milk, coffee, flour, oil, right? what do I say? There is less milk in this tumbler. There are few students in class. Words which tell you how much, how many of something is meant generally come in the category of determiners. They're like adjectives only. So now, is 100 people refers to a number or a quantity? When I talk of milk, am I talking to? No, they expected exactly 1,000. Varsha, they didn't say as many as. They just said 1,000 people were expected, but the number that came, no. 100 people is a number. People is a number. 100 people, can't you count? Come on. How is it a quantity? I will say milk. What? Okay, let me just tell you. In nouns which you can talk as numbers whose plurals take an S are called countable nouns. Nouns whose plurals do not take an S and which you cannot express as a number but only as X of. For example, I'll say, I had 4 cups of coffee today. I didn't. Just an example. But I can't say I had coffees today, right? But when I say people, 50 people, 40 people, these are numbers. 50, 40 are numbers. People is the plural of persons. Therefore, I should not use the word less. Less is only used for quantity. I have less money than Mukesh Ambani. I have less money than a lot of people, but it's good to say Mukesh Ambani. Fewer students attended today's class than they did yesterday. So what should I say here? Fewer than 100 people. Why fewer? Because few is a number. Here we are comparing. We are saying less than. Fewer than 100. Few than 100 nahi hoga. 100 se kam when you want to say. It's some sort of a. So you have to say fewer than 100 people attended the function when 1,000 were expected. You expected 1,000 people and you had 90 people. Okay, so what this is saying, the moment you say less, few, fewer, just think of countable, uncountable. Is the word used right or not? Now let me give you a common example that I always give in my classes. This, the clue you already have. What should I say? I scored dash marks than I had expected. Less, lesser, fewer. What should I say? I scored dash marks than I had expected. Less, lesser, fewer. What should I say? Quickly, less. That's the difference between somebody who's listening in class and not listening. Lesser, there is no word called lesser. Lesser is now, okay, no, I can't say that. That's not right. When I was a student, many centuries ago, when you people were not born and the dinosaurs were on the earth, that time, Wren and Martin and such grammar books said that lesser is okay. Less, okay, little, less or lesser and least. But modern grammarians say less itself is a comparative. So where is the question of lesser? We use the word lesser to mean inferior, but otherwise we don't use the word lesser. So less itself is are marks countable or not? Yes, Varsha came up with the answer already. Marks, we spend all our lives counting marks. 90.5 milna tha. Why didn't I get that 0.5 extra? So they are countable. Since it's a countable noun, you have to say fewer. That's the answer. No, it made it look like fewer. All right, done. Now you know why A is wrong, all of you. All right, good. Let's move to the next one. The number of people affected by COVID-19 directly or indirectly are staggering. Is there any error or no error? Mark E. Question 11. Question 11, what's the answer? The number of people affected by COVID-19 directly or indirectly are staggering. Okay, Vikas says it's B. Mohit says it's B. I know exactly what you're thinking. I don't know if you're right or wrong. I'll tell you. Let me get the other answers. Okay. Let me see the answers. Okay, all right. The number, agreement of verb with subject. What does it say? That when the subject, here the subject is the number. When the subject is singular, the verb is singular. The number is always singular. A number is always plural. A number of students are or have attended this session or are attending this session. All right. But if I say the number, then I'll say the number of students attending is large because the number is singular. So here it is not are staggering, it is staggering. Now those of you who marked B made a guess. Yeah, effect is there, but here the correct word is used. Remember, effect is a noun, affect is generally used as a verb, therefore are affected is correct, not effected. Effected can be used as a verb in one sentence. He effected many changes. Otherwise, effect is a noun. What effect does Virat Kohli's poor form have on the Indian public? Oh, we are all devastated. So when Kohli scored a century, even if it was against Timbuktu, we'll say, oh, he's got back into form. So the effect his form has on the Indian Janta is pretty high. Right? That is effect, noun. I am not affected by victories and losses in a game of cricket, wins and losses in a game of cricket. I am not affected by it. Then that's a verb. So here the word affected is correct. The mistake is here because the number is singular. I should have said is staggering, not are staggering. All right. Generally, Nimisha, they will ask you grammar, syntax and punctuation. Okay. So they like in CAT for some years when they asked grammar, syntax and punctuation, but generally they won't. Okay. All right. I feel bad when they lose against anybody, Rahul. That's the problem. So that makes us very unreasonable fans. We are not. That means we are not fans of the game. All right. But then I'm like that. Okay. The crowds thronged the temple on the holy day despite of the heat and humidity. Is there any error? What is the error? If not, mark E. Question 12. Okay, very quickly I've got answers from Nikita. Give me the answer numbers. Question, okay. Rahul says it's C. Nikita also C. Maitri thinks it's D. All right. I know exactly why these have been mentioned. Okay. Anamika, I want to see the reason why you thought it's A. All right. All right. Thronged, when you go in large numbers to a place, thronged. So maybe Anamika, your doubt was, should it be 2? Throng means go to a place. So it doesn't need a 2 after it. So this is fine. On the holy day, on for a day is fine, but this is wrong. Remember, there are two things. One is in spite has to be used with an off. Despite does not take an off. In spite of the rain yesterday, like last 3-4 days, it's very cold in England, in London, but despite the cold, people queued at night to see the queen lying in state. In spite of the cold. So when you say in spite, you add an of. When you say despite, no of is required. So this is not required. All right. So the answer is C. Clear? All right. Next question. Sentence has been broken up into parts sequentially. Now, generally what happens, it takes me a little while to get used to this type of a question. The other type I'm okay with. So here, after you get used to the question type, you can answer faster. You didn't wait for us before you went to meet him. That way you read it as one sentence, then life becomes easier. Tell me what's the error in this sentence. Question 13. Okay, Mohit, Nimisha think it's D. What about the rest? There's a small, okay, B, D, I'm getting all answers. Okay, some students think there's no error. You did not wait for us before. Whenever you have a question tag, always first see if the question tag matches the verb, the main verb. What's the rule of question tag? That when there is a question in shortened form of the question, did you really, didn't you do so, nobody asks like that. They ask the shortened contracted version. Now that contracted version has to match the main verb, has to align with the main verb you have used. So here you didn't wait, it cannot be followed by a is question tag. If this is negative, the main verb is used with a negative, then the question tag will be positive. So you didn't wait for us, did you? It is a hot day, isn't it? It isn't a tough set of questions, is it? Okay, so make the word align with the verb. The question tag has to have the same verb as the original question, and it has to be opposite. If it's negative in the sentence, the question tag should be positive. Clear? Okay, next one. Question 14. The police have prevented Rajan in leaving the city without informing them 2 days in advance. That means 2 days in advance you have to give us, you have to inform us. That's what the police said. But what exactly did the police tell Rajan, and is this sentence expressed correctly? Mohit thinks it's A. I know exactly why you think it's A. Nimisha thinks it's B. Okay, A and B would be the common answers, I know. The most common answers, the options would be between A and B. Most answers would be locked there. Yeah, Varsha, correct question. Okay, remember, this is a question. Generally, group nouns, collective nouns can be, what is a collective noun? A name of a group of people. A group of people given one name and treated as one entity, right? In nouns, you have proper nouns, the exact name of a person. Common noun, the name given in common to all the members of a group. So if you call me a teacher, I belong to the group of other people who are also called teachers because we share something in common. Correct? But if you put all teachers together and the name of all the teachers of a class, of a college, are called the faculty or the staff of that college. Correct? Now, police can be called a group noun as in, or a collective noun. Police, generally collective nouns are used either with a singular or with a plural, depending on whether we are talking of the collective noun as one body or we refer to the individual separately. 99% of the time we use it with the singular noun. Like we'll say the army has been called out in some state where there is some problem, floods, natural disasters, for everything we bank on the army. The parliament has elected a new speaker. Fine. But police is always plural. So this is correct. The police have prevented is correct. The problem is they have prevented. Prevented always has to be used with the from. You are preventing me from doing my duty. The police have prevented Rajan from leaving the city without informing them. Therefore, those of you who marked A, I know the logic you use, but now you know that collective noun police is always plural. Okay, the police are looking for the criminals who are at large. There's a crime committed. You read, now listen, if you don't believe me, fine, because I was a very skeptical student, but I always referred to the encyclopedia, the newspaper to find out. And many times I was caught on the wrong foot, including pronunciation. I used to pronounce this word as core. So when my teacher corrected me and she said it is chore, I actually had the arrogance to laugh behind her back. And then I was very humbled when it is actually chore. So look up, when you look at the newspapers, okay, police is considered as a unit, Varsha. Policeman is singular, policemen is plural, but police as a force is always used with a plural verb. Remember that. All right. When you read the newspapers, now you will see so many times the newspapers will use a plural verb with police. If they use a singular, please write a letter to the editor saying, you guys don't know your English, your grammar is all wrong. All right. So it will be from leaving. All right. Okay. That's another nice important rule you learned today. All right. Next one. This is actually a cat question, but one of the most interesting questions I've seen. So we included this. Very interesting question where you have to, now remember, always read in the question whether you have to mark the set of incorrect sentences or the set of correct sentences. Oh, from 95% liking this session, it's gone down to 91% liking this session. What happened to the other 4%? You stopped liking the session, is it? No, I'm just kidding. All right, quick. What is the answer? Harish told Raj to plead guilty. Go and tell the court you're guilty. That is called pleading guilty. So what did Harish tell Raj? To plead guilty, correct or wrong? Next one. Raj pleaded guilty of stealing money from the shop. So what is he guilty of? Stealing money from the shop. So he pleaded guilty of stealing money from the shop. Is that correct or wrong? The court found Raj guilty of all the crimes he was charged with. He was sentenced for 3 years in jail. I'm seeing a lot of different answers. B and D, the most common. The rest quickly. What are your answers? Harish told Raj to plead guilty. Whether he was correct or not, we don't know, but grammatically the sentence is correct. Raj pleaded guilty of nahi. Here the word that is important is pleaded. So he was guilty of stealing money means he pleaded guilty to a crime. You plead guilty to something. You are guilty of something. So Raj was guilty of a crime, which is stealing money. But when he pleaded rather, pled is wrong. When he pleaded, what did he do? He pleaded guilty to stealing money. The court found Raj guilty of all crimes. Perfect. He was, again, I have taught you for 4 or 5 hours is correct, but he was, here the word is sentenced. He was given a sentence. That sentence said you spend 3 years in prison. That means he was sentenced to 3 years in prison. So the incorrect sentences are B and D. B is the correct answer, which many of you got correct. Thank you. Right? Done. All right. Next one. 4 and actually 5. There are 5 underlined words or phrases. Identify the one underlined word or phrase that must be changed in order to make the sentence correct. If there is no error, marquee. This is another common form of question asked in NMAT. In fact, this is one of the most common ways. So how are we going to do? A majority of Indian teachers has suffered serious financial problems on account of the recent pandemic ascribed to a virus. Okay, very quick answers. You know, in that Kaun Banega Crorepati, I will never go beyond the first stage. I know that because I can't do the fastest finger thing. My brain just stops functioning. But here we have lot of fastest fingers. We have Rahul, Vikas, Varsha, all coming in with answers. All right. Here the rule is when you have a subject followed by a prepositional phrase, see, generally the subject has to agree with the verb. When you say one person, verb has to be singular, two people, verb has to be plural, two people joined by and, verb has to be plural. You know those rules. But when you have words like majority, all, none, okay, most, some, okay, when you have words like this followed by a prepositional phrase, here of Indian teachers, of is a preposition, so majority of the students, same way majority of the teachers. When I say majority of the Indian teachers or majority of the students, am I talking of a number or an amount? Majority of the teachers in India, am I talking of a number or an amount? We are talking of, there are 100,000 teachers in India, most of them will also be a number, so I'm talking of a number. When I'm talking of a number, the verb that has to follow it has to be plural. But if I had said majority of the population of the country, majority of the farmers, singular. A majority of the population will be singular. Same way all, okay? All of or all the students are engineers or interested in taking the school. For a collective unit, Varsha, I told you, do we use a singular or a plural? Depending on whether you use the collective as one body or when you refer to different members of the collective. I'll give you an example. Okay, jury. Let me just finish this example. I'll give you an example. So all the work is done. Work is a quantity. All the students are interested in taking NMAT because all the students refers to a number. Same way, none of the students are interested. Okay, none of the, what would I say, any amount, none of the ice cream is set. Bad example, but I'm just saying. Okay, most of the city is underwater. That's what people thought about my city. There's only a small part of Bangalore which had terrible time during the rains. It was all the IT offices, quite a few were underwater. But people thought the entire city was just deluged and under a sea of water, which is not true. So most of the city is in water, a small part of the city is in water, yes. But if you say most of the students, you'll say are. Same way with some. So whenever you have words like all, some, majority, look at the expression which follows it. If that is plural, as in this case, use a plural verb. If that is an amount, then you will use a singular. All right, clear? So the answer is A has the error. Okay, let me, before I show this question, Varsha wanted to know, jury. This is the most common example given in Wren and Martin. The jury, right? 12 people sitting to decide on a case. Now, jury law says that all of them have to be convinced that a person is guilty before, he can be convicted. In most of the cases, in murder cases or something. The jury has given, even if it didn't, let's say the jury is giving a verdict. Okay, all 12 of them sit and all 12 of them say guilty. The jury has given its verdict. Now the jury is being treated as one body, so the verb will be singular. Suppose out of the 12 members of the jury, 8 are saying that the person is guilty, 4 are saying he's not guilty, and they are fighting. Then we will say the jury are divided in opinion. Don't let this confuse you too much. Generally, by and large, we use collective nouns with a singular verb. But remember, Varsha, I gave the police example because it has appeared in exams before and students have made the mistake. So you know that police is always used as a plural, with a plural verb. All right? Okay, let's now move to the next question. Question 17. The moment the soldiers of the enemy learned that their side lost the war even before they could attack us, greatly afraid and fearful, they started surrendering. Question 17. Which part of the sentence has an error? Actually, there are two errors in this sentence. Two errors. Okay, so I just noticed okay, the moment they learned that the side had lost the war, let me add the had there, then those of you who said C, had lost, okay? Lost is wrong. That should be had lost the war. The moment they learned the side had lost the war, even before they could attack us. Forget that. There's one more error. Can you identify the other error? Okay, had lost. Those of you who had marked C, very good. That's an error. I agree. It should be had lost. I missed that out. We changed the question and in that. Okay, what's the other one? What's the other? Yes, why would it be D? Had lost is one error. I agree with my error that I made in not, had should have been added there. What is the mistake here? Varsha and Anjali say D, okay? Both are the same. So you don't say greatly afraid, you say very afraid, okay? And afraid and fearful mean the same. So this is a case of redundant usage. You don't say greatly afraid and fearful. Okay? Then it will be this. Alright? Okay. Okay, let's now look at correct usage. Now remember, when you have to identify the correct ones, the correct sentence, eliminate the options that are clearly wrong, definitely wrong. Then you will have one sentence which you are okay with and one sentence where you have doubts. So you have a close option and a correct option, and apply rules of grammar to choose those. Not too many of those, but I've given a couple of questions like that. Question 18. The Romanians may be restive under Soviet direction. Remember, restive means restless, but they are tied to Moscow by ideological and military links. No change is required, then it is A. Normally, no change is required is given as a separate option, or A is repeated as it is, like we've done here. And if changes are required, if there is a better way to phrase it, look at other options. They are preparing for a great revolution. Secretly, they rather enjoy the prestige of being protected by the mighty Soviets. There is nothing they can do about it. It is tied to Moscow by ideological links. What is the answer? This will take you a little more time, I understand, and I'm going to give you that time. Because here you are not looking at an error. You are looking at which is the best way to correct, or which is the correct way to express it. Okay, so the best way to do this is read the sentence, identify the error in the original sentence. If you cannot identify any error in the original, I told you errors would be in the area of prepositions, verb usage, tense. If those are not there, then you go to the other areas. The Romanians may be restive under Soviet direction. This is just the first part, but you need to know it to understand what's the second part. They are tied to Moscow by ideological and military links. What is wrong with this sentence? Tell me. They are tied to Moscow by, Moscow is capital M. Tied to Moscow. You are tied to something. Okay, there is nothing wrong in the original sentence. There's nothing wrong in the original sentence. There is nothing they can do about it. If this is wrong, you can put this. And here, but there is nothing they can do about it. They are restless. They are restless, but adjust the other one. Maybe there is nothing they can do about it. Not tied by. You are tied by a rope. The agent which ties you. But you are tied to something means you are linked to something. Got it? So there is nothing wrong with the given option. So remember, there is always the possibility that the given option is correct. Okay, the next one. This is going to be a little tougher than the earlier sides. Okay, he tied the man, okay, to the tree using ropes. The man was tied to the tree by plastic ropes is different. I am tied to my students through the bond of classes. Tied means linked. You understand? So it should be two. Good question. Good question. All right. Next one. That's the beauty of prepositions. You use different prepositions in different connotations in different contexts. All right. In a penetrating study, CBS TV focuses on these people without hope, whose bodies are cared for welfare aid, but whose spirit is often neglected by a disinterested society. So in many societies, they have welfare aid. They give them welfare money. Old people, people who can't take care of themselves, people who are destitutes. The state takes care of them. That's called welfare aid. Okay, so that's what the sentence is telling you, that physically somebody is taking care of them, but their spirit is not there because the society doesn't really care. It's like, throwing rice at somebody, le lo, kha lo. There's no heart in it. This is what the sentence is indicating. So is this sentence correct? Okay, Anjali wins the fastest finger first. Got the answer right. Anjali, you're not giving the question number. Anjali thinks it's A. Varsha thinks it's D. Original sentence, identify if there is any mistake, and can it be rectified without changing the meaning? Yeah, you are cared, so because it's in passive voice, welfare aid is taking care of you. That means your bodies are cared for by welfare aid. It could be they don't have enough to eat, there's something, but the key is, in this what is wrong? Cared for welfare aid nahi hoga. You are caring for somebody. So cared for by welfare aid. Welfare aid is taking care of them. Got it? All right. Read the entire sentence here. It is about completing the sentence meaningfully. Then comes the grammar. Okay? Complete the sentence meaningfully. Increase the degree of difficulty. So I have increased the time I'm giving to you. But we're almost done. Don't worry. 2-3 more questions and then I'll quickly take your doubts and then we'll. Contemplating whether to exist with an insatiable romantic temperament, he was the author and largely the subject of a number of memorable novels. Rule number 1, when you use whether to exist or not, this does not make sense. He's not saying, he's not thinking, should I exist with an insatiable romantic temperament? This part is called the modifier. Somebody was asking me, can you teach me modifiers? What is a modifier? It is a sentence. It can be a clause or a phrase. Generally, it's a phrase that is given before, at the beginning of a sentence. Again, generally before, at the beginning of a sentence, set off by a comma to give you extra information about the subject. So the main thing you're trying to say is he was the author and the subject of a number of memorable novels. What did he do? Was he really trying to contemplate whether he needs to exist with a romantic temperament? Doesn't make sense. Therefore, what would be the next sentence that would make sense, which would describe the author properly based on the information given in the second part? This is like grammar cum reasoning. This cannot be. Then what should it be? Combining realistic details with an insatiable. To be satiated means to be satisfied. Okay, बहुत खा लिया, now I can't eat anymore, I'm completely satisfied, satiated. But this guy has an insatiable romantic temperament. His greed cannot be satiated. He's got insatiable, he's ever hungry. Okay, so combining realistic details, a romantic person's head is always in the sky, but here he has realistic details and a romantic temperament. Seems perfect. Okay, but always read. Miscegenating a brilliant mind. What does it mean? What does this word mean? Look up the dictionary. That's your homework. What does it mean? Since I don't understand, this is how you tackle it in class. I don't understand it. Ye jo bhi hai, main nahi karungi. Aware that he had been born with an insatiable romantic temperament, he was the author. Just because you are aware, you don't write. Aware of his circumstances. So the only one which makes sense, which describes his writing, is B. Therefore, B is the right answer. All right. Next one. Again, more logic than grammar. Okay, but the grammar also has to be there in the sense that the sentence has to make sense both grammatically and logically. How many times have I asked myself, when is the world going to start to make sense? There is a monster out there and it's rushing towards me over the uneven ground of consciousness. Good. There's a monster out there. It is as if the world is on my shoulders. The answer is out there somewhere. There is a sea of sensibility in me, or it's up to me. The question is asking, I have asked myself this question many times, when is the world going to start making sense? So what is the underlined sentence? Does the underlined sentence make sense, or is there one which will replace it and make it better? Question 21. Take a guess, doesn't matter. Quickly. NMAT, no minus marking. NMAT, there's a pressure of time on you. So you shouldn't spend too much time on these questions. They're long. So try to get the crux of the matter very soon. The answer is out there somewhere and it is rushing towards me. Which one? The answer. Somewhere at the back of my head, it's rushing towards from the back of my mind, from the uneven ground of consciousness. Oh, it's going to come to the forefront. Okay? All right. The last question of the set before I quickly take your doubts. He is an old resident and is living in the city for a quarter of a century now. He is an old resident, will be living for a quarter of a century. Tense. Question related to tenses. All right. The moment you mention quarter of a century, right, you can't say is living. He is living now. But the moment you use quarter of a century, it is raining means it's raining now. The moment you say for 4 hours or since morning, you have to use has been living. Okay, that is the function of perfect tense, perfect continuous tense. Either perfect tense or perfect continuous tense. So therefore, has been living in the city for a quarter of a century now. D is the answer. I have been waiting for you for a long time. Not I am waiting for you for a long time now. All right. Okay. Before I take your questions, remember, whenever you take a test, analyze your mistakes in grammar, look at the concept behind it and answer questions. Now, we have the last lap to NMAT, 19th to 3rd October, 3 p.m. Stay locked at 3 p.m. Stay with us, YouTube or app. Make sure you attend each and every session so that your preparation for NMAT will be foolproof. Alright, that is number one. We will be sharing our first impressions of NMAT and have a detailed analysis starting on October 12th. So make sure you watch our session October 12th for our first impression and detailed analysis of the NMAT exam. Alright, and I hope by now all of you are part of all the channels on which BYJU'S Exam Prep is there. Alright, you can follow us on any of these, and rather follow us on all of these channels. Alright, Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure you do that. Resources as such, Mohit and Varsha, I cannot tell you. There is, of course, the NMAT official guide, which is there. It doesn't give too many explanations and exams. I follow Wren and Martin for the basics of grammar, but Wren and Martin can become a little too theoretical for students. So work out the exercise part of it, especially for prepositions and articles. They'll be very useful. Vocab questions, we have been having all these sessions. Look at any of the vocabulary books that you have. I'm sure our app itself gives you a lot of vocabulary questions. There are a lot of hot topic tests, vocab tests of different section tests that we have. Solve those on a daily basis. That itself will help you. All right, error spotting exercises. We have tests. We have all that on our app. There are the try to solve those. I normally make my questions, we all make questions from the main questions of grammar based on tenses. But I'll try to find out if there's any particular source. For vocabulary, they generally most students would start off with, the Norman Lewis book. There are a lot of vocab books in the market, but you shouldn't try to do it in one day. Then you learn 100 words in one day, next day you'd forget them. If it's vocabulary, try to do 10 to 15 a day. They are okay for CAT. I haven't seen them, Neha. Okay. Wordpa Made Easy, and many books like that. Improve Your Vocabulary in 60 days, those kind of series. They are given very well. There's always a reinforcement test that goes on which helps you remember the words. And there are a lot of books on grammar in the market. Unfortunately, I do not follow any of them. I know there are a lot of questions which are very good, all these series of objective English. Arihant publications that BYJU'S would recommend generally would be okay. But make sure that the answers are okay. And if you're not sure of the answers, ask your mentor in class to help you with the answers. Okay, I'm not very sure of which books are good. I'll ask one of the teachers who takes your regular classes for your books. Okay, I follow the past year question papers, frame questions. That's what we do, and then set it up. All right, I hope you enjoyed the session. If you did, make sure you press the like button. Make sure you share the video with your friends, and I hope you will all be there tomorrow at 3 p.m. for another aspect so that your NMAT preparation is the best. And do join our session on analysis and others. All right, see you then. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye.